Have you ever seen a cube turn like this? Or this cube which is absolutely massive? Well, you're in luck because these are 3 puzzles you didn't know existed, and we're going to see what they all do. So let's start with this one. So it is pretty massive. You know what else is massive? Anyways, let's check what other stuff it has. It includes this manual with 1 billion languages, I can only speak one anyway, and a bunch of stickers. I don't think I'll be using them, but that's pretty cool. Does the box have anything? Okay, never mind, I'm too lazy to check. But what's the point of a cube if it can't turn? So let's test how good it is. Okay, not bad. It's not as fast as a modern 7x7, but it is definitely better than a Rubik's brand. It's also much chunkier than any cube I've ever seen, but I guess that's how old cubes are. Not as good as my other 7x7, but overall I give this a 6/7. I mean 7/10. Alright, up next is the Scube Extreme. Now, I do not have a Scube in my collection, but I guess I have one now. This thing is on steroids, so let's see what it does. That took 5 hours to open. Finally, let's do some turns. Okay, I like the smooth turns and magnets on the cube. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know how to solve this cube, but it is definitely a good cube as it turns pretty great, but it is difficult to solve. It turns so weird compared to the 7x7, but it does seem pretty fun to solve. It's pretty great, just like how great it would be if you liked and subscribed to the channel. Anyways, overall, I think this deserves a solid 9 out of 10. Well, that puzzle was pretty cool, but this last one is not what it seems. This one is the Puromorphics, so let's open it and see what it's like. So once I opened it, which was very hard by the way, it turns much weirder than the others. At first it looks easy, but once you start turning it, it's not what it seems. I don't even know how to solve it, but I'll watch a tutorial on it. It turns decently, and it does look like a fun puzzle. It is simple, yet complicated at the same time. So overall, I would give this puzzle a rating of 8 out of 10. Wow, these cubes look so good. I hope they don't get scrambled. Oh, never mind. So now guys, I have to solve these puzzles. So I locked in and watched tutorials for hours, and I finally got it. Now I'm going to test my skills to see how fast I can solve these puzzles, starting with the V cube, starting in Okay guys, I'm doing pretty good so far. So now I'm gonna lock in harder than this guy, and I was able to solve the white center in around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I then proceeded to lock in even further and solve the yellow center in about 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But 2 centers isn't enough. So I kept on grinding like a true Sigma and eventually solved all of the centers in about 18 minutes. Because all the centers were solved, I was able to finally start working on the white cross, and doing so took me 24 minutes. Now I had to solve all of the edges before I could move on to the last step, and I wanted to get this done fast. So I locked in even harder, but there were so many setbacks like cube pops. But because I'm a Giga Chad, I pushed through and solved all the edges in 43 minutes. Finally, I was reaching the end, and I would finally be able to stop turning this massive puzzle. I just had to solve it like a normal Rubik's cube. I did my last few turns on the cube, then I finally solved it in 45 minutes. That puzzle was massive, just like the low taper fade music. But now it was time for my next challenge. So I got my Scube Extreme, and I was still wondering if I could solve this thing. But anyways, I was determined and started in. So the first part was pretty easy. All I had to do was solve it like a regular Scubie. I started by solving the white side, which I did in 2 minutes. Then I solved all the yellow corners and the yellow center in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Then I solved all the centers and corners of the Scubie Extreme in a little over 4 minutes. But this is where things started to get difficult. I had to solve all of the tiny center pieces on the Scubie Extreme, which literally took forever. I thought it was impossible to solve until this happened. I had finally solved it after 10 minutes. At least it didn't take as long as the 7x7. But then I realized we still had one more challenge ahead of us, and that was the Puromorphics. This didn't look too bad, but I knew that we can't underestimate it. So once I was ready, I started in. I was feeling excited because this was my last puzzle. The first thing I did was get it into a pyramid form, which I did in 30 seconds. I then oriented the corners in around 55 seconds. This was the easiest puzzle out of all of them, and I did the second last step in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Finally, the very last step and turns of the puzzle were near, and so I did it and I solved the Puromorphics in 2 minutes 50 seconds. Well, that's all of the puzzles. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as I enjoyed solving the puzzles. What did you guys think of these cubes? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe for more of these videos, and I will see you in the next one.